Good evening and welcome to episode 9 of the 2019 Vegan Hour. On Tuesday the 14th of May, I have tonight Emma Strut from Greenstuff Nutrition. Oh, I only just got through the word green stuff then. Thank you for coming so far and thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We are talking all about plant-powered health tonight, but before we talk about plant-powered health, let's just remind you that the wonderful Vegan Hour is brought to you by the wonderful vegan frothers. You can see their logo in the background there. Emma's doing the sale of the century tonight on, anyway. So we've got vegan frothers. We've got Cess vegan home delivered pies. Have you ever had any of the Cess vegan? No, you don't know. It's this. It's not there. And Scindian natural food products. So they are responsible for bringing the Vegan Hour to you, and also couple of events coming up before we get tonight's show underway. There is tomorrow night and every Wednesday night at BKA Vegan Restaurant here in Burleigh. You want to get down there for their bowls night because you're going to get fantastic food in bowls. You won't be playing bowls, you'll be getting food in bowls. And Damien says, hey guys, hey Damien, thanks for getting on there really quick. And only $12 a bowl. And I hear it's pretty popular too, so you want to get in there early before it gets packed out. So that's tomorrow night and every Wednesday night at BKA Vegan. And this Saturday is the election. So if you want to help the animals, I strongly suggest voting for the Animal Justice Party representative in your area. But you can also do something more than that. You can also help out as a volunteer at the booths there. So you can go along and from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Election volunteers needed. So if you want to find out more about that, actually just go to the Animal Justice Party page on Facebook and you'll be able to find information for how you can sign up and whatever. So if you missed the beginning, I have Emma from Greenstuff Nutrition and we have the first comment come in already. Robert says, love the show, such a role model for me, lost 17 kilograms over 13 and a half months.
Fantastic.
Since gone vegan. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work to you. Actually, we're going to find out. We're going to hear some success stories hopefully tonight from where you've been helping people. But first off, let's find out a little bit about Emma, how long she's been vegan, why she went vegan, how she went vegan, and then we'll continue on from there. So, look, you have the floor. Over to you. Where would you like to start? How long have you been vegan? Let's start there.
I've been vegan a little over 11 years.
11 years, okay, excellent. Wow.
So, vegetarian first for about a year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do my homework properly.
Yeah, were you one of the many people that thought that vegetarian was enough?
Yeah. So, I ran away when I was quite young to Thailand, spent some time over there, went to a yoga centre and did some time there, did a lot of lectures in the evening, like philosophy and ethics and all that kind of thing. And of course learn about ahimsa and the ethics of eating animals. So went vegetarian after that. And then I still had a bit of travelling to do, so I didn't really, look into it.
But let me ask you, vegetarian in Thailand, is that close to being vegan?
Pretty much,
Yeah. I mean, do they have any dairy there? They have.
It's starting to creep in now because it's coming more westernised.
It's westernised, yeah. Don't you love it? They ruin things.
Yeah.
But
so stayed that way for a little while. Went through South America, which was a bit tough being a vegetarian over there back in the day.
Yes.
Then when I got home, did a bit of research, and that's when I made the switch because I found out, how everything gets onto the table.
Okay, so obviously you were finding out what was happening to the animals, especially in the dairy industry, and you just went, hey, I'm not supporting this anymore. Yeah. So was that a strong component of going vegetarian in the first place? Was the ethics, or was it more health?
No, it was the ethics.
It was the ethics, because you mentioned ahimsa.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so...
and health has always been important to me. Like, I grew up as a competitive swimmer, so I was always interested in nutrition and everything from that angle. I grew up in a small country town. There was no such thing as a vegetarian. But definitely ethics to make that initial switch.
In fact, it's interesting because you've moved back to a small country town and you're not the only vegan there.
No.
And I was really surprised before we went live to find this out, that there's actually, your local pub has some vegan food there.
It does, yeah.
There was a restaurant that had vegan food there. You've got your family members, you've got friends.
Yep.
It's
So
just,
there's a nice little group of us.
that's fantastic.
And at the end of the month, we're having our first potluck. So
Oh,
getting
yes.
that started up, and hopefully that'll go well.
That's fantastic, and you're going to be organising that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Maybe I'll have to make the trip out there with a Vegan Life shirt on and show you how it's done.
Absolutely.
Because I've been doing the Vegan Life since 2011, so
Yeah,
I've done quite a few of them.
Give me some tips.
I'll have to, yes, after the show. Robert says that he voted for the Animal Justice Party, which is good on you, Robert. That's fantastic. So, okay, so you've been vegan a bit over 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
In that time, I want to go back a stage. How long were you vegetarian before you went vegan?
About a year.
About a year,
Yeah.
okay. What were the changes that you can remember that happened with your health and maybe other aspects of change?
Yeah.
Were they dramatic or were they just subtle changes?
They were subtle. Like, I've had ongoing health issues for a long time, and they definitely did get better when I made the switch.
Anything you'd like to expand upon?
Well, since I was a teenager, basically, I've just had chronic issues with my gut. I had really bad skin when I was younger.
Yes.
I had chronic asthma. Like, I was at the stage with my asthma that I had to go to hospital a couple of times a week and
A couple of times a week. It was that
put
bad.
on that machine.
Wow.
That got. I mean, I don't have asthma anymore, so that's gone away since I ditched the dairy.
Fantastic.
That's anecdotal, but
yes. No. That's what happens. And also, your skin would have cleared.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
which is
absolutely.
exactly what happened to me when I was 16.
Yeah.
From acute acne to all gone within 1 week.
Wow.
So dramatic change because I went raw vegan overnight. So so your skin cleared. What about your gut issues?
Well, that's ongoing. Like, I've got a structural issue, so
right.
that's never going to really go away. But it's definitely more manageable.
Definitely manageable. Yes,
Yeah.
it definitely would have improved it. Yeah. And what I love is you've taken sort of some of those experiences that you've personally gone through, and then put that all together with learning about nutrition.
Yeah.
And then helping people, giving it back.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks.
Paying it forward, giving
Yeah.
it back. Which is a wonderful service to do. Help other people to help their health as well.
Yeah.
So you are a registered dietitian and nutritionist, and I believe a dietitian is a qualified nutritionist. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can we expand on a little bit on what's involved in becoming a dietitian?
Yeah, so you have to go to uni and you study for between 4 to 5 years, and it involves a lot of heavy science. So there'll be chemistry, biochemistry, physiology, pathophysiology, anatomy. So it's a little bit like a pre-med course in that respect.
Yeah.
And then you learn a lot about public health, nutrition in society through the life stages, medical nutrition, that kind of thing. And then you've got hospital placements, public health placements.
Yes. Learning about some of those things, nutrition in society and stuff like that, was that a little bit frightening? Some of the things you were learning or
It's
seeing?
definitely eye-opening.
Eye-opening,
Yeah.
yes, I can imagine, yeah.
It's interesting.
And placement in hospitals would also be...
That was tough. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really interesting. And I worked in a hospital system for a little while after I graduated.
Right.
But
what did you find tough about it?
It didn't really align with my ethics very well.
Is that because they like to dispense drugs to help rather than holistically? Or is that something you'd rather not go into?
Well, I mean, being a dietitian in a hospital is really, it's an important role.
Yes.
You definitely need to be there.
Yeah.
But me personally, I didn't get a lot of satisfaction out of it. You're seeing people at their worst, you're only seeing them, 3 times max before they're discharged, so you're not really making much of a difference.
Right,
there.
yes, So even though you may be having some influence, you're not able to give the follow through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now I can understand that. It's really, what you do now in private practice is way better, isn't it? Somebody's
for
coming...
me, yeah. For me personally,
it's not just for you,
satisfaction.
but yes, it's job satisfaction for you, which is fantastic, because you're giving, and in that giving is the reward coming back.
Yeah.
So okay, so you've done. Okay, so you're a registered dietitian and nutritionist. You got your degree from the University of the Sunshine Coast.
Yep.
You went into hospital, did some placement in hospital for a little while. Mm-hmm. Decided, no, I could really be more effective in doing my own thing.
Kind of change in people.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you sort of grow from there? You decided I'm going to hit the ground running and open up my own practice? Or
Yeah,
really?
kind of just jumped in.
Really?
So, yeah.
In the middle of nowhere?
Well, I was lucky because I knew people there, so that kind of helped me.
In the country town?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes? Yeah?
Yeah, you know how it works in country towns. So.
I don't spend a lot of time in country towns, but I mean, it's wonderful that Emma's come all the way from a country town tonight. She had to drive for about 4 weeks to get here.
Not quite.
Not quite. I exaggerate. It was 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks and 6 days. So I'm a little bit off. But how long have you been running your practice now?
About 4 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And how? I mean, I can just. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when you opened the door and started initially doing it, were you seen as a little bit unusual?
I'm that crazy veggie lady, so I'll admit that. I own that.
It's becoming obvious to me that you don't mind standing on your own 2 feet and doing what you feel is important to do. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I think people that are in situations like you've been in, you have that inner conviction to do things. You have to have that. Otherwise, you won't continue on the path.
I mean, it can be tough at times, but if you've got
you've
that internal compass that keeps you moving forward.
I just keep thinking, 39 years ago when I became the only vegan in my village, and you've done a similar thing in more recent times. You're sort of like, okay, I don't care what the rest of this society around me is like. I'm doing my thing because I know it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Okay. So, your health improved personally in your journey. 4 years ago, you set up your practice, and was it tough?
It was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, the area I'm from is built off the back of farming, cattle farming.
Yeah.
A lot of produce as well, but
yes.
a lot of.
So okay, so you got a mixture of cattle farming and plants and whatever.
Yeah, carrots and onion, basically.
Carrots and onion. Okay, yeah. So that must mean that you've stood out like a bit of a sore thumb. And have you copped some flack?
I have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
from people you know, or just from strangers?
Oh, for sure. Like the whole works. Yeah. But I'm lucky the doctors I work with, they're quite. I mean, they all know who I am and what I'm going to be educating.
So you've got. So when you say the doctors you work with, have you got doctors, local doctors in the area that refer people to you?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So tell me how that works. Does somebody go to them and they've got some issue that they know you can help with?
Yeah, so oftentimes I'll see people under what's called a chronic disease management plan.
Okay.
So depending on the person's health situation, they might be eligible for a few visits to allied health under Medicare.
Right.
So if they've got a chronic disease like diabetes or heart disease, like something ongoing.
Some of the ones that were considered previously incurable?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, before plant-based doctors started coming along and proving that wrong?
Absolutely.
Yes. So if a doctor's presented with a patient like that, if they're referring them to you, are they saying that basically they can't do anything for them?
No, they'll still work with the patient.
Right. Okay.
I mean, there's a big. Not everyone's on board yet, but there is a shift within medicine to go more, lifestyle medicine.
Good. Good.
There's definitely we're moving more towards that.
I'm so pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
And you would be so pleased as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah, fantastic. What is bringing that change on? That awareness? Is it just a general awareness that doctors now have because the whole public is now generally aware as well?
I think that's definitely part of it, but we're at the stage where, you can only do so much and get nowhere before you start looking at what's actually going on and what...
That's true, but boy, there's been decades and decades and decades of that, so it's taken a long time for a change to come through.
Yeah, and we've got lots of science now that's coming out. I mean, you cannot refute the science anymore, so... This is good.
Yeah. This is good. I'm so pleased to hear that it's happening on a level where it's really going to help. It's a more mainstream level if your average GP or whatever is becoming aware of this.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going to take a while to filter down and reach all areas, but definitely we're getting there. This
is very pleasing. To all the GPs out there that maybe haven't personally become vegan but are aware, I'm just, I think that's fantastic because I mean, we do have vegan doctors in Australia, and some especially well-known ones from overseas.
Yes.
And in fact, you're is it the lead dietitian for Doctors for Nutrition?
Yeah.
How did I? You like the way I slipped into that? Was so good. Good segue, wasn't it? And that's for Queensland, isn't it? You're the lead dietitian for Queensland for Doctors for Nutrition, and so obviously Doctors for Nutrition is well aware then of
absolutely
good nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so tell us, well, I guess while I've gone into that area, tell us a bit about that.
So I suppose there is an important distinction to make between just vegan and whole food plant-based.
Definitely. Please clarify that as well.
So as a vegan, I mean, you can eat Oreo cookies, you can have chips, you can...
Yep.
You can have
pick another one.
Those new Magnum ice creams that have come out. So they're not health promoting food, they're still processed type foods. So the science behind the healthfulness of a vegan diet is really when that vegan is doing a whole food plant-based diet. So that's when you're eating, you know, from the 4 core food groups, your legumes, your whole grains, your fruits and your veggies, small amounts of nuts and seeds if you don't have any kind of cardiac issue. Basically, you're basing your diet on unprocessed plants the way nature's designed it.
What a concept.
Yeah, crazy, I know.
But you mentioned there nuts and seeds can be an issue if you've had cardiac problems?
Well, some people.
Yeah.
So if anyone's aware of the studies done by Cardwell Esselstyn or Dean Ornish, they've been the leaders in, you know, nutrition for cardiac issues, and they've been able to prevent and reverse heart disease in their patients. Like we've got angiographs. You've probably seen that picture of the side-by-side arteries from Esselstyn studies, where it's literally opened back up again. And the diet for that is very low fat. Whole food plant based.
No oil.
No oil.
No oil. Yes. Yep.
No oil, minimal nuts and seeds, but it's still including a good source of omega-3.
Yeah, which would be flax seeds, chia seeds.
Small amounts of hemp, small amounts of walnuts, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. There's a big comment there from Michelle. Says, I have a friend who is a vegan who is undertaking study at one of the universities to become a dietitian.
Excellent.
She has confirmed, and as I suspected, these courses are being sponsored by the egg, dairy and beef industries. This was also highlighted in the documentary What the Health, which was filmed in the USA. You would have probably seen What the Health.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I wanted to throw things at the screen after watching that because of just the vested interests.
Yeah,
just not surprising, but very disappointing that you know, society still functions that way.
Yeah.
You know, very disappointing, but it's money, it's greed. So that's interesting what Michelle said there, that the courses are being sponsored by the. Have you?
Well, mine personally wasn't actually sponsored by them, but you learn the dietary guidelines, and that has, you know, input from these.
However, if you're in Canada.
Wasn't that excellent?
Yes. Now, when was that? Early this year.
Earlier this year.
If you're not aware, the Canadian was it Food Pyramid.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Now. And when they were undertaking all the science for that, they were very careful to exclude a lot of industry-funded
Exactly.
science.
They actually said we are not taking on board the basically the vested interest. They didn't use the word vested interest, but damn, it was close to saying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They said we're not taking that on board. They went with the science.
And then if you look at the plate that they came up with, I mean, it's not 100% vegan, but it's very largely plant-based.
It's so close. It's getting so close to it that the next one probably will be.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is what happens when you get the greed out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and you actually get the health into it. And so you get what it should be.
And you look at the proper science.
And yes. And I love that there is the proper science from so many plant-based doctors that have done the studies, that have put so much time, decades, especially overseas, decades of research and with their own patients, hundreds or thousands of patients that they've been curing and reversing irreversible diseases for decades from. It's fantastic.
I mean, Dean Ornish is at the stage in America now where he's had so much success with his program, it's actually under Medicare. I mean, that took him years to get that actually happening.
I'm enjoying hearing all this stuff because, as a long-term vegan, my contact with doctors has deliberately been very minimal over the years. I lost faith in doctors before I became vegan simply because at least 1 or 2 doctors had said to me, your acute acne has nothing to do with your diet. And so to cure it within a week, myself, and find that they were completely 100% wrong,
yeah.
I just, at that point as a teenager, went, well, screw you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I have no faith in you when I've gone to you as somebody seeking advice and you've given me advice that's completely wrong. Why would I believe anything else you tell me?
Yeah.
So for me personally, my, following doctors has been like, I'm really sick, I need to go now, but the rest of the time I'm not going to, or I need a blood test.
It's the system too, because they are
Yes.
so busy seeing like so many sick people and writing prescriptions that, they can hardly keep
Yes.
up themselves. And
That's true. So what you're saying, they may have good intentions.
yeah.
But they're hampered by the system that they're in.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the way they wanted it to be in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I forgive you, doctors. All that anger I carried for decades, it just floated away. We're doing therapy here tonight on the Vegan Hour. So I want to find out about some of these people that doctors are referring to you.
Yep.
I want to actually get some examples of say somebody that's come to you, what's been their issue and how you've then tailored a plan or something to help them.
Okay. There's a couple of people I like to use as examples just because they did so well.
Yeah, great.
So there was one man who came and saw me. He just had a heart attack, and
Wow.
he could hardly walk from the door to the chair.
Wow, what age group are we talking?
He's probably 60s, like mid
60s, yeah. Where it was once considered fairly normal to have a heart attack in the 60s.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we're getting away from that thinking now, but yeah.
So he had a heart attack. He had early stage prostate cancer. He suffered really bad gout attacks.
Oh.
He had.
So he was extremely acidic.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He had really painful hemorrhoids. Like it was just not good in the gut, reflux.
He didn't have any quality of life.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Wow. And he was rapidly approaching death.
Yeah, and his reflux was so bad that he'd gotten a change called Barrett's esophagus,
Yeah.
where you get so much of that acid washing over, you get precancerous changes in the esophagus.
Wow.
Are
you guys taking note of how bad it can get if you eat animal products and you keep doing it decade after decade?
Yeah, he came in. Was very lucky that his wife was on board with the suggested changes, so that was a big help.
Good.
But
it's always the women.
Yeah, not always.
Not always, but most of the time, more than it is the men.
Well, in that age group, it's common for the women to be doing the cooking still. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
true.
they're kind of the gatekeepers.
So. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, they jumped in, boots and all. Like they made the switch. They were happy to do it basically overnight. And
wow. So what? They went whole food, plant-based overnight.
Whole food, plant-based. Wow. Yep.
I'm impressed. That for somebody that's been so indoctrinated for over 6 decades.
Yeah.
And then they do that overnight. But they had strong need or reason to do it, didn't they?
Yeah, they were at the stage where they were willing to make that change, I suppose. So,
okay.
But
so what happened?
It just improved remarkably. So I don't see him as a patient anymore. I don't need to.
Oh, fantastic. They're the best ones, aren't they? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But I ran into him a little while ago and he just got back from a hiking holiday. So from not being able to walk to the chair.
Yeah, to a hiking holiday.
Yeah.
Is he the happiest person on the planet now or what?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
When you see him, does he have an amazing smile and gives you a big hug and whatever? Because you've saved his life.
Oh, well, he saved his own life.
Okay. You were instrumental in guiding him to save his own life.
Helped a little bit along the way.
You helped along right. How personally? See, that's the personal reward for yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You have done something for somebody that is just wow. That is fantastic. I want while we're talking about these cases, if anyone's got any issues that you know of, or friends if you've got issues, if you want to ask Emma for any advice on health related issues, please do, because you create miracles. so and you're also very humble about it. So there was another example. You said there's a couple of examples you'd like to use.
So another one I've seen more recently, he came to me with really bad sleep apnea. He quite overweight, just joint pains. He wasn't, he didn't have rheumatoid arthritis, but he was just in chronic pain all the time. So a little bit like fibromyalgia. And he was just at the point where he just no quality of life, wasn't enjoying anything.
And was he similar age group to the?
And he hasn't gone completely 100%, plant-based yet, but he's majority of the way there. And he's like a new man. Like you walk through the door, he's smiling, he's happy. He's just got like a
lightness. And it's not just him that has improved. It's his relationships, the people around him, isn't it? How they see him and how he can relate to them and just interact with them. That's just the flow-on effect. And that's what we need to have in society, that changing so that people are healthier, so that we're getting away from a lot of the issues that flow from that, because there are other issues that come from that. There's depression, obviously, because when your quality of life is really bad. Suicide, when it gets that bad. There's the financial side of things as well, the cost to the person, the cost to society, there's all these things that can be reversed by being on a whole food plant-based diet.
And that's a good thing you touch on the finance side of things. This gentleman has saved so much money by not buying all the junk food anymore. He's actually booked himself a 3-month holiday.
Wow!
So he's going to be doing some hiking and some nature photography, and
that is so. I'm loving hearing this. All of this information you're giving me tonight is it's so pleasing. It's so great. There's a comment there from Christine. Emma, what vegan iron supplement would you recommend, please?
Okay. Well, straight off the bat, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a supplement unless you've been tested and you're quite low. There's things that I would probably recommend you do with your diet first. So making sure that you've got a good source of iron at each meal. So that would be legumes, whole grains, and lots of leafy greens. So with your legumes, you can't really go wrong. Any of them are good. So whichever ones you like, try and include them. Also, tofu, tempeh, that kind of thing, they're all really good sources of iron as well. But coupling that with something that's rich in vitamin C, because that's going to help your absorption by up to 12-fold. So
that much? Wow.
It really can be a lot.
Wow.
So vitamin C rich foods would be obviously your citrus fruits, kiwi fruit, strawberries are fantastic as well.
Oh, strawberries.
As far as veggies go, broccoli is really good, red capsicum and Brussels sprouts, even tomatoes pretty good. So making sure you're having them at meal times. And there's a few things you need to be aware of that can inhibit iron absorption as well. So making sure that you're not having tea or coffee around mealtime, because that can greatly decrease your absorption.
Interesting,
the tannins in it can bind with the iron and stop your gut absorbing it properly. So an hour either side of mealtime would be good. Making sure that you're cooking your legumes and your grains really well, so you're reducing like the phytate and oxalic acid content.
What grains would you recommend?
Whole grains, so
obviously
shocking. Brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, millet, all that kind of thing. Even some of the whole grain pastas are okay, but I would just go for whole grain wherever you can. What else? And if you're really low in iron, I'd be just a little bit careful about including calcium fortified plant milks at the meal as well, because calcium can bind with iron a little bit and decrease absorption a little bit. But if you're doing all of that and you're giving it a really good crack and your iron's still low, so if you do need to supplement, I'd look for one that doesn't have any extra nasties in it. So I try and just get like a straight iron with a bit of vitamin C added, rather than one that's got folic acid and a whole bunch of other stuff in it as well.
Why is that? Can that affect?
Folic acid supplements, unless you're pregnant, I probably wouldn't recommend. I'd prefer you just get the folate from the food, because there are a few studies that suggest it might be a little bit detrimental.
Okay. And it's interesting that the theme that you're saying there is, to try and the supplement should be used if for some reason you're lacking in getting it from the food. Which I mean, is fairly obvious.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've got to know what is really important is what I love what you're explaining there. You've got to know your combination of your foods and what foods to have to make sure it's working.
Yeah.
So that you're not actually, like a cup of tea. Who would have thought?
I know.
A cup of tea, with your meal, which is probably fairly common for a lot of people, could be
guilty of that.
So, I don't do it that often, but who would have thought that can inhibit your iron absorption?
Yeah.
Wow. And another thing, I didn't realise strawberries are a good source of vitamin C.
Yeah, they got more than oranges actually.
Wow, that's good. Guess what? I'm going to start eating a lot more of. I love strawberries. Strawberries are fantastic. Yeah, they're great. So. With supplements, seeing as we're talking about supplements, I hope that helped, Christine. Is Ferro Grade C vegan?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have a look and can I comment on here afterwards?
Yeah, you can.
I'll get back to
you can reply to Christine later. Yeah, after you've done your 4-week drive back to your back to your country town. So ideally, the whole food plant-based diet should be giving us the nutrients we need, with the exception of B12. Yes. Yeah. And would you recommend, if possible, to go organic as much as possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Will have you found a difference in like what the nutrients will be in the quality of nutrients in?
Scientifically, it's a bit mixed still. So some studies say yes, others say no.
Really?
Okay. But if you can reduce your pesticide residue, that's quite.
So what about maybe if it's not organic, next best would be pesticide free?
Yeah.
Because organic's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I'd rather you still eat the food rather than not being able to afford the organic version of that. It's not an excuse to go and get a Magnum. Yeah, that's right.
or a tub of Pana ice cream, which I may have accidentally eaten last night. Even if that's right. So B12 is an interesting one because I've done because I myself ended up extremely low in B12.
Yeah.
Under 200.
Okay.
And I didn't realise that was a concern until I spoke to Amanda Benham and she said that's. You got to do something about it. Yeah. So in my case, I did a few live streams about it, and I personally took injections, got it right up over 1400, which is the maximum testing range in any case.
Did you feel a difference?
I think it was the first or second injection. I felt like I'd taken cocaine or something. No, I wouldn't know. Look, seriously, I'm joking. I've never had drugs, so I wouldn't know. But I described it in my live stream as like, I felt like I'd just fallen in love. It was a euphoric. It was like, wow, this is good. And it became like the new normal. Yeah. So it was like, suddenly I'm like, okay, I've been cruising along at this level thinking, okay, that's where I'm at. And I've just jumped up a step. Yeah. So it became like that. And that was last year when I did that. So yeah, I did notice a difference. Yeah. It comes up a lot in the debate about B12, like why do we have to supplement? Yeah. You're obviously aware of why. I'm aware of why, but I'd like to hear it from you. So can you explain?
So, back in the day when we were drinking from streams and we were pulling things out of the dirt and, we were still eating bits of that dirt, we probably wouldn't have needed a supplement. But this day and age, with the cleanliness of our food supply, we definitely do. So B12 is actually made from microorganisms that live in the soil, so it's a bacteria that makes it. We actually make a little bit of B12 in our gut, but it's too far down to absorb it.
So I knew that we made it, but we can't actually absorb it.
No.
Okay.
So it's a bit useless to us, really.
Hang on. God, what were you thinking? Sorry.
We need to supplement in Australia. Our food hygiene is quite strict, so we're not. That's a good thing. We're not getting poisoned by dirty water anymore. Yes. We're not getting food poisoning as much as we used to. So,
yes, well, that's right. Our lifespan is greatly increased compared to those times when people were dying in their 30s or 40s or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So sanitation plays a big part in that. Yeah. What I have an issue with B12 is when they say you can only get it in animal products. It's like, it's not in animal products
Yeah.
naturally,
Yeah.
which is correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're getting it from the food because they're still, pulling grass out of the
Yep.
ground, and actually a lot of the animals are supplemented with B12 in Australia now anyway.
That's correct.
Because their
Yes.
food supply has become
Yes.
a little bit sterile as far as bacteria and whatnot
Yes.
goes. So
Yeah.
so it's not only in animal products; it's
Yeah.
from bacteria to begin with.
So what do you recommend with B12 for a person to monitor their B12 levels? What do you recommend they do? Should they go to a doctor and get a blood test?
I get a yearly blood test.
Yep.
I think it's quite sensible for anyone
Yes.
to do that. I'm not going to say especially if you're plant-based, because everyone should be doing that. But it's a good idea if you're plant-based to just get a checkup once a year, test all your levels. That way people who have arguments with you can shut them down and show that you're fine. And take a supplement.
And take a supplement. Any preference? Do you think it's better to get injections or just to take a daily tablet? Or
some people, especially as you age, you may need an injection because we have they're called parietal cells in our stomach, and they're actually important for converting that to an active form that we can use.
Yes.
So as we age and our stomach acid decreases and everything like that, you might need to bypass the whole gut system and just go straight for the injection, but most people will be fine with the supplement.
In fact, in my case, I was actually already taking B12 spray daily and still ended up under 200 because it wasn't being absorbed through the gut. So the injections got it back up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But another really interesting thing is that B12 is not just an issue for vegans or vegetarians.
Absolutely not.
Tell us more about that, because you would probably know. Do you know the statistics or the?
Oh, I don't know the exact statistics, but I know, personally, in the doctor's surgery I work at, none of the people that get B12 injections are vegan. They're all omnivores.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah.
And isn't it annoying that it's brought up as a reason to not be vegan or something? It's like, hang on a second.
Absolutely. Everyone, as we age, regardless of what type of diet you're on, needs to be a little bit aware of B12.
I've seen statistics that it's something like 40% or 40-something% of adults are B12 deficient, something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It's fairly high.
Yeah.
And youth was quite high as well from a young age. So it is something that everyone needs to be aware of.
Yeah.
And it's something that for me, I was not aware of until maybe only 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I just cruised along as a vegan without taking supplements, didn't know anything about it, and I've somehow managed to go a long time without supplementing.
Well, I know Colin Campbell went a long time without supplementing B12.
Because B12 does stay in the system for a number of years.
It can do,
It won't stay for decades, will it?
No. I mean, it's a bit dependent on your own personal makeup. Some people will need to start supplementing a lot sooner than a few years down the track. But that's why I'd recommend always getting the test.
I was going to say, the best advice, get a blood test, see where B12's at. Because long-term deficiency...
Not good.
No. Please explain.
So long term, if you let this go, you can actually end up with irreversible nerve damage.
Yeah.
So really, really important for nerve function, for cognition.
You end up with neurological issues.
Absolutely. And there was a case study. I think Nutrition Facts actually has a video about it.
Yes.
About a vegan that refused to supplement, and they actually had spinal cord rotting. So
wow.
So please take your supplements.
Oh. Ow! I felt that. That's okay. So earlier on, I mentioned that you're the lead dietitian for Doctors for Nutrition, and I on the promo video, which a lot of people watched. Thank you. I shared a photo of you there. Talking in a recent event, was it?
Yeah, at the conference. So Doctors for Nutrition.
That was
in February.
In February. Okay. So tell us a bit more about the conference and what is trying to be achieved with Doctors for Nutrition.
So Doctors for Nutrition, it's a new health promotion charity.
It's a charity?
Yeah. So full charity status.
Okay, excellent.
So if you want to donate, tax deductible over $2.
Help Emma to help others.
That's right.
Yes.
So started by a team of amazing ladies, Helene and Lucy. So one's a doctor and one's an event organizer, event manager.
Yeah, started here here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
So we're trying to promote the benefits of whole food plant-based, basically. So there's a few different avenues we're looking at, but just general advocacy, we're hoping to change, hospital policies, etc., to make it a little bit more whole food plant-based friendly.
Yes.
Just educating doctors, because they don't get a lot of nutrition training in their courses.
I've heard that so many times that they only get what is it? How many hours?
It's a few hours. It's a handful of hours, depending on where they are being taught. It's not much.
How can you've got to give the tools of success to someone for them to be successful.
Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know. So
So again, forgive me, doctors, for hating you for so many years, because you didn't know what you didn't know.
And then also just getting this information out to the public. So the conference in February was our first official big
That was the first one. Okay. And was that in Brisbane?
Events. No, there was a pre
in
Brisbane where Kim Williams came out, cardiologist.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
Yes.
I was lucky to go to that one as well.
Yeah.
But the event in February was really world class. So we had speakers from all over the place. We had a gastroenterologist from the UK, Dr. Scott Stoll, Dr. Neil Barnard came down from America. Lots of international as well as Australian and New Zealand presenters.
Fantastic. And that was that Melbourne?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Melbourne. That was the one you spoke at?
Yeah.
Excellent. Good turnout?
Really good turnout. Yeah, it was a sellout actually. So.
Wow, were they all doctors?
I was actually surprised. I wasn't I thought it would just be a lot of whole food plant-based foodies, that kind of thing. But there was a really good mix of medical professionals as well as general public.
That's good.
So I was really happy with that. And the next one, keep your eyes peeled. I think there's a bit more information trickling out about that soon. So we're hoping it's going to be a sellout again.
Excellent. And you'll be there?
I definitely will.
Oh, fantastic. You'll be able to hang on to that lectern again. That's what they're there for. I'd want one this big. So, anyway.
I might just be relaxing in the crowd next time.
That's what I had a thought then when you're talking about, having a lot of doctors come along to something like that, right? I had a thought then about how that's really the change that we need in order to be able to change society from a health perspective, is to have the health professionals have that awareness.
Absolutely.
So that they are giving the correct information to the people that are putting their trust in them.
Yeah.
As we've mentioned a couple of times earlier tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I'm really, really pleased that there's organisations like that. You've got overseas. You've got the what's Neil Barnard's one called? The physician.
Yep.
Yes.
Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
Thank you. Thank you. It would have taken me a week to try and say that. And he has had pretty good success there too. We've got a lot of people, people on board. What are some of the things that he's achieved there that you're aware of?
They have done so many amazing things. They actually do a lot of work lobbying the government. They do a lot of successful campaigns.
They've got hospitals to, I think, improve the food that's being...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And Meatless Mondays. And
that sort of thing, yes. Yeah. That is fantastic that it's coming in at that level. I like, because there's a disproportionate credibility being given to doctors for a long time, that now, if they've got this good information, that credibility is earned, I think. I say, that's my personal opinion, that it's a disproportionate credibility because of the whole system that just elevates certain professions to a level that maybe is more than it needs to be, and I've seen it through, we've seen it through our parents, older generations, parents and grandparents and all that. Basically what the doctor said was gospel. It was really like, wow, you're not going to question that at all. They've said, take these drugs, do this, do that, and you do it. It's like, and this change is coming through. The winds of change are coming through, and it's been happening for a while, and it's growing more and more, and it's just fantastic to see. Trish says, great info, and it's important to inform that both vegan and omnis require supplements. Trish, I should have seen your comment earlier. And I just want to do a big shout out to Trish, because Trish has been vegan all her life for 62 years. Now, that is fantastic. She's got 4 vegan children, 2 of them, one of them's 38, 39, I think the other's about 30. Fantastic. And my interview with Trish from last year is actually on YouTube. You can watch that. It's just inspiring. 62 years inspiring. Michelle says there are some vegetables that I just cannot seem to eat. Capsicum, celery, raw onions. Yeah, they really upset my stomach and make me feel ill. And with Brussels sprouts, well, nobody in the world can eat Brussels sprouts. That's a known thing.
I like them.
Nobody in the world except Emma can eat Brussels sprouts. I cannot stand them. So my mum used to force us to eat them. And what is it with mums that used to force kids to eat Brussels sprouts? Was there like a secret society that we didn't know about as kids? Anyway, and I just cannot have them anymore. So I need to find some foods to get my iron from. On the upside, I don't like tea or coffee and don't drink them.
That's good. Yeah.
So let's work with that.
Yeah, no, you still got plenty of options there. So some of the rich vitamin C foods you've knocked out, but that's fine. As long as you're including some legumes or some soy product like tofu, tempeh, edamame beans, that kind of thing. Some whole grains, so some brown rice, some quinoa, buckwheat, millet, that kind of thing would be fantastic. And then rather than try and pair it with capsicum or Brussels sprouts, just squeeze some lemon juice on it.
Yeah.
It makes it taste really nice and you're getting plenty of vitamin C that way. Or have a little bit of fruit for dessert. Like, don't wait too long. Have it pretty close to your meal. But
how's that for food combining though? Having fruit that close to having had grains and vegetables?
Yeah,
is it an issue?
Well, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
So food combining aside, some people have sensitivity to FODMAP. So I don't know if you've heard that
I've heard of FODMAP. I sort of got lost whenever I've looked at it and tried to figure it out.
It's a bit tough, and as a vegan, it's a little bit restrictive. It's not something that you should do long term anyway.
Right.
It's kind of like an elimination type thing, but you can kind of not follow it strictly, but just use principles.
Right. What is the principle of FODMAP? It's oh no, you explain it.
So FODMAPs are types of carbohydrates that aren't completely digested in the small intestine. So when they get to the large intestine, they interact with the gut bacteria down there and it's party time. So for most people that's not an issue, but some people can get quite bloated, they can get a bit gassy, some people can get diarrhea, constipation, reflux, that kind of thing.
Sounds like good quality of life.
Yeah, good times.
Good times, wow.
So you might actually experience those types of symptoms when you first go vegan because you've greatly increased your fibre.
Right.
And you might think, oh, this is not for me, but it's just an adjustment period.
Yes.
So a couple of weeks and you should be fine. But for people where that continues on, then you might need to looking into FODMAPs, doing a little bit of it.
So is it happening because of the fibre?
It's a type of fibre that's kind of fermented.
So it's not breaking down.
Yeah. Which is actually really great for your gut bacteria.
Yeah. If it's fermented, it should be.
So you'll be helping produce the beneficial bacteria.
Yes.
But some people just have extra pain receptors down there, like hyperactive guts.
Yeah.
And you need to be a little bit careful.
Could that, now I'm just having a thought now, could that gut related thing also be emotionally based?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
so there's a gut brain connection.
Exactly. And that's a thing that, it's like there's so many sayings like, I felt I was kicked in the guts and all, those sort of things, which are referring to the emotional component of an event or something you've experienced.
Yeah.
So if you're holding a certain emotion,
absolutely. So if you're a stress head like me, that can definitely.
Are you a stress head?
Absolutely.
Really? Geez, you disguise it well.
Thanks.
Never
there was a really interesting study, I think it was done last year, where they did a randomized trial where they put people with IBS and gut issues either into a group that did FODMAPs or a group that did yoga and meditation.
Good.
And at the end, they were actually similar benefits for both.
Wow.
So
interesting.
There's a lot to be said about other lifestyle components there. It's not just purely about food, it's about stress management and
And this is something that you would relate to strongly too, because you are actually a yoga teacher. So you're well aware of all the positive aspects of it and how the body is not just about the food we put in.
Absolutely.
It's so much more than
that.
Would you say that it's the food that we put in is a major component, or there are other factors that are actually more important
Well, I'm
or
a
it's just
dietitian, so I'm going to send you food.
That was almost a loaded question, that one, wasn't it?
But yeah, just as important, absolutely.
Yeah,
So like you've got to move your body. We're designed to move.
Yes.
Not just for like mental cognition benefits,
Yep.
but walking, like squeezing your muscles, it moves your lymph system. Like
Yes,
so
exactly.
important on so many levels. Getting outside, getting a bit of sunshine, getting a bit of fresh air, you're exposing yourself to beneficial bacteria, you're de-stressing, like your cortisol levels drop. It's just getting back to nature, how we are designed to live. That's going to be a really big help.
All good things. And then also going back to the emotional, well, they tie in with the emotional well-being, but the emotional well-being is how we emotionally treat ourselves.
Absolutely.
And then that flows on to externally into how we treat others and our relationships and that. And I've seen in my life's journey so many dysfunctional relationships.
Yes.
So many families that are at war with each other. So many friends, so many neighbours, so many just situations that it's so disheartening to see, people have to sort of behave that way, and obviously somebody that's in that state of living their life that way is gonna have issues when it comes to digesting food or because they're, how does it work with the body there? If you're stressed or whatever, it just stops your digestive system working, or what happens?
I mean, if you're constantly in a state of stress, so there's two main systems.
There's adrenal stuff, isn't there?
Sympathetic and the parasympathetic.
That's right,
The parasympathetic is rest and digest, so that's when we do have good digestion. But if you're constantly stressed and you're in that fight or flight mode, your gut kind of shuts down a little bit because you're pumping adrenaline, you're kind of ready for, either running away from, back in the day, that tiger, or fighting it.
That's right,
But these days we have that constantly, so we've got work issues, we've got relationship, we've got money,
financial issues, and for some people it's the stresses that they are up against are very strong.
Absolutely. And with the invention of smartphones, I mean, we're never really turning off. We're always just...
So that's an adrenal overload.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've seen come up in different studies and posts, and that I've seen ironically on Facebook, on social media, that's where you see it come up. But that is a concern, because that's going to increase. Do you think increase sort of over time, because we've increased our use of devices where we don't switch off?
Yeah.
So it's going to increase the health implications?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, and I mean the science is backing it up. I'm doing some study for lifestyle medicine competencies at the moment, and they're talking just the other day actually, really, really interesting study. About 70% of us feel like we can't keep up. And that's because technology has just gone boom, and we are not evolving at the same rate technology is. So we're always feeling like we're behind, we've got to be doing more, and you get on and you look at the highlight reel of everyone else and you think, I'm so behind with my life, It's interesting,
isn't it? And the other person's doing that to you.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, I'm so behind with my life.
Yeah.
And thinking your life looks better than mine.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, it's a tool. Like social media, I've said this before, is a tool like money. You can use it in a way that's selfish or a way that's selfless.
Yeah.
So you can use it to help create awareness, or you can use it to just promote yourself, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is concerning that it really grabs the mind, doesn't it? And it's like, and in the past, before it came along, it was like maybe somebody was reading the newspaper all the time, or watching television a lot, or reading books a lot or something. But that doesn't have that hold over you.
Yeah.
A book doesn't have the hold over you that, a good story can draw you in, but it just doesn't sort of keep vying for your attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a constant stream of news feed in that.
Yeah.
So it's something to be aware of from a health perspective, because if you're caught in that, then it is going to affect. You might be eating well, but you're still not healthy because your body is in that state of stress. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big believer in putting the phone down, switching off, doing a bit of meditation, just kind of trying to quiet your mind, center yourself.
Definitely have to do it.
Yeah, this day and age for sure.
Yeah, always should be yoga, meditation, exercise, fresh air, all of those things as a daily component.
Yeah.
Other
and
what?
social connection.
Social connections.
Not through the phone, not through the internet.
Yes, social connection is actually really, really important too. Enough studies over decades and decades and decades showing what happens without good social connection. And there's a difference between social connection and good social connection.
That's true.
There's a massive difference between, oh yeah, you know, I hang around my family all the time. It's like, yeah, but you're fighting with them all the time. That's not a good social connection. You know, where's, you know, that's stressing. I've got to word this correctly. It's not stressing you out. You're reacting with stress to the situation because it's always our reaction to the situation.
That's right.
So we do need to qualify the difference there.
Yes.
With training, meditation, and yoga and all that, we can change the way we respond to situations. So it washes over us and doesn't hit us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a critical thing for all of us to learn because we're all going to hit stress. We're all going to get caught in traffic and all the rest.
Part of life.
So how are we going to respond?
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. So it's good to have those tools of success for us personally, and then, you know, and if we can't figure it out, go to Emma and she'll help you to figure it out.
And for some good social connection, go to the potlucks.
Yeah. We didn't even plan this. That was good. Or, I'm throwing it back to you, or go to yours in a few weeks' time when you do one. Yeah. I'll be very curious to see how that goes.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. You've got to post up pictures and all that. If you missed at the beginning of the show, Emma's going to start doing potlucks. I call them vegan lucks. I think it's a good terminology to use. But you're going to start doing it in your area? Yeah, great, fantastic. I wanted to just throw back to when we were talking about some, you know, a good example of meals to have. Yep. I was thinking of what I have as my regular lunch, which I think must pretty much hit the spot for what you've said there, because I have rice, quinoa, I have it steamed, rice, quinoa, tofu, sweet potato, carrots, beans, broccoli. There's probably a couple of other veggies in there that I haven't thought of, and that's pretty much lunch most days.
Beautiful.
So that's pretty good, isn't it?
Really good.
And then I have 27 magnums after that.
I didn't hear that.
In addition to that, I take to work a green smoothie, which is the celery and cucumber and kale and usually a bit of pear and papaya and ginger and turmeric. So that's a green smoothie drink that at work. I take a juice as well. I have a juice for breakfast and I also take a juice to work. That's a fresh juice that I've made, you know. So this is Harry Bolman's trick to being able to eat so much damn processed food and still stay healthy, because every day I'm having a green smoothie, a juice, a good lunch, and often have soup for dinner. But it's all the stuff in between. That's the So I'm not recommending you follow my advice there at all. Follow Emma's advice. Stay whole food, plant-based. And I should have. There was a comment from Jerry earlier. He mentioned that he loves Brussels sprouts, and I just wanted to acknowledge that there are now 2 crazy people in the world that love them.
Roasted, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, a little bit of pepper, give it a go.
Go away. There is nothing you can do to Brussels sprouts other than opening the recycle bin and throwing them in that will make them taste better. I'm sorry, I just can't go there. I've got the same issue with anyone else that was force-fed Brussels sprouts by that secret society that all the mothers were in decades ago, where their kids had to have Brussels sprouts for some crazy reason.
I was force-fed pumpkin and I hated it.
Yeah.
But I love it now. So...
Pumpkin's fantastic. Pumpkin soup is one of the best. Yeah. Thick pumpkin soup. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, instant gag reflex, like just
really?
No, couldn't do it, but...
Wow. So we are coming close to the end of...
That's gone quick.
It has, hasn't it? We've barely touched on nutrition. We're coming close to the end of this episode. What advice would you like to share with our viewers before we wind up for the evening? Anything that we haven't touched on?
I would just say, apart from nutrition, obviously, I think if you're new to this way of eating, if you're finding it a little bit confronting or stressful, reach out and make a social connection. Like, I think that's really, really important for not only keeping yourself a little bit accountable, but keeping yourself going long term.
That's actually a really good point. Keeping yourself accountable is very important, because anyone that's trying to do a major habit change, especially if it's an addictive habit, is trying to give up smoking or drinking or something like that, they need to have that component in place.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the first little bit, because they're not only learning a new habit, they're like unlearning old ones.
That's true.
So it's like a double effort.
So in a lot of those situations, people have a mentor or something assigned to them when you go to a certain group or something, and you're actually giving up an addiction. You have somebody that's responsible for keeping a check on you, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So do they do that with AA? I don't know. I've known people in AA, but but I don't know if they do it. But there's a reason for that. And that's the reason. So also a couple of comments there. Bella Moore loves them too. And Emma knows how to make great Brussels, Jerry says. See, as soon as you started talking about how to do Brussels sprouts, I switched off that ear. Michelle says, I agree with Harry. It is one of those vegetables that should stay on the plant. Thank you. I'll give you your $10 later, Michelle. Now, for people to get in touch with you with this live stream tonight, we have your Greenstuff Nutrition page in the title of the live stream, and so they can message you through there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really active on Facebook. I probably
What's the best way to get hold of you then?
Put more time and effort into Instagram.
Okay. We'll put your Instagram, or you can put it, or I'll put it in the comments there.
But shoot me an email, give me a call. Like all my contact details are on my website.
Well, I'll put your website there as well. Okay. I haven't done that yet. And yes, and then you can help people with that. I think there was something else I was going to say, and it's fallen out of my head. So, but anyway, it's 8:30. It's 8:32. Wow, it's the vegan hour in 2 minutes. Thank you, everyone, once again for watching. Thank you so much for travelling for months and months and months to get here. I really appreciated that. And
pick on me.
That's not picking on you at all. I really appreciate your advice and everything. It's fantastic. I really hope that if people have got any other issues in that they can contact you directly and help them the way that you've helped some other people improve their quality of life. And coming up in 2 weeks' time for episode 10 on Tuesday, 28th of May, where the health journey continues with vegan naturopath Colin Campbell. So she's actually been on the show a couple of times in the past, and a few years ago, and I thought, let's roll her back onto this. Roll, that sounds terrible. Let's get her back on the show and find out health from the naturopath's point of view. So thanks, everyone. Live vegan and save... Live vegan and save lives. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the Vegan Hour.
See ya.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Good night.